Hello, Brett. Welcome to the show. Our common friend Troy suggested I should talk to you about Zendo Kai, and I think my understanding of Zendo Kai is a little bit different. I wasn't aware there's a two different ones. But we're gonna talk about it earlier. Let's start from the beginning. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, mate. It's what 6:30 over here, nearly 6:30 p.m. on Thursday, so it's a good time. As I said before, I've got my dinner in the oven. It's cooking away, so it's been a good day. I'm looking after my daughter's two Kelpie dogs, so they're laying here at my feet, not doing
Cool.
anything. So it's been a
Cool.
good day.
So Troy was telling me that you are a partially involved in the radio. You are a therapist or counselor, and you are a
Oh,
martial artist.
yeah, look, I therapist counselor. I was injured in 1995. I was in the police force over here for 17 years and got injured in 95 pretty badly. Got attacked by about, I don't know, I don't remember it, but someone said like 20, 30 people and at a ball thing in the car park and it turned to crap. So, yeah, I just survived that. And then I spent the next, I don't know, 15 years probably trying to get myself to a stage where I could actually function because I had doctors telling me or telling my wife at the time, they said, Brett will never work again. He'll be sedated and medicated for the rest of his life. His post-traumatic stress is that bad. So I went, hmm. So I tried a few things over the years. And yeah, and I think the night um, was was for me really was a turning point in my life. Yeah, it was a really crappy night, but it changed my whole outlook on life. At the time, I thought it was the worst thing in my life, and now I sort of go, you know what? It was a pretty good thing. I was pretty bitter and twisted. Being in the police force for a lot of years at that time was was pretty hard back in the 80s and 90s, and I worked in some pretty tough areas. And yeah, I sort of got angry with life. So for
Mhm.
me, it was. I look back at it now and go, it was a good thing. I've met a lot of brilliant people that I would never have met. And Troy is one of them. Like, we've done a couple of podcasts together ourselves called The Odd Couple. Like he's a
Mhm.
retired bikie, I'm a retired copper. So two people you
Opposite
probably never think
opposite
would get
sides,
along.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
opposites attract, mate. And he's a great person. I've been very fortunate to have him come into my life in the last few years. So yeah, that was that. And I started martial arts at 17 in 1977. 16 I was, 1977.
Hmm.
And still involved with Bob Jones Martial Arts and don't do much training anymore. My body's pretty banged up. And the thought of people attacking me still is not always good.
Hmm.
But I'm still involved. I run the first aid courses for the organisation. I sort of look over their health and safety management stuff, and I travel to Thailand as most years with there's a crew of about 70 people that go over,
Hmm.
and yeah, just and I love going over there. It's just a great place, and I've met some great friends as a result of it. So yeah, it's life's now pretty good. It was crappy for a lot of years after 95, but now it's not too bad at all.
Do you think that martial arts helped you somewhat getting over it, or what impact
Yeah,
it had it?
probably on the night, it saved my life. Um,
Mm.
because in the in the seven not the early 70s, the 70s and that, we did a lot of groundwork being on the ground and people attacking us. So and it was pretty full on back then. There was no, I'll just sort of kick at you soft. Some of the instructors. Um, and it was great. It taught you a lot. And I think on that night when I was on the ground getting kicked and punched, the one thing that came to my mind was what my old instructors had said: just get in there, protect yourself, protect your head, curl up in a ball, and just I couldn't do anything.
Mhm.
My shoulder had dislocated. Um, at one stage, someone was trying to grab my gun. So it was a pretty average night overall. But
Mm.
yeah, and I think the martial arts for me, um, even though my body is pretty, as I said, pretty banged up these days, it's still something I love being involved in, and I plan to do more over the next, get back involved a bit more. Um, it's just I still get anxious and suffer a bit of anxiety if I'm in a training class where there's people throwing punches and kicks and but my instructors are great. Like I have they're some of my best friends, and I'm blessed to have them in my life.
Mm. That's, I think, the overlooked part of martial arts is the community. When you've got the support of really great people who you've been
Yeah,
sweating on the mats and going through the hard
yeah,
times, it's
mm,
invaluable.
yeah. Um, can we pause? I've got to turn my
Yeah,
leg of lamb
sure.
off in my oven, so the beeper's just gone off. So we just pause it for 1 second. I'll be straight back.
Yeah, no problem.
Sorry, we're good.
So, how did you get involved in martial arts over at all? Sorry.
Um, well, when I started high school, the school I was at, I had one of my best mates. He was involved in Zendo Kai, so at 14, 15, I think. He was he was going to karate, and I said to him, I said, "What's this cross?" He had this cross around his neck, and I said, "What's that?" And he goes, "Oh, it's just a family thing." And so I pressed him on a bit more, and he goes, "Oh, I actually do karate." And I said, "Oh, are you any good?" And at 14, I think 15, he said, "Oh, yeah, I'm a junior black belt." And I went, "Wow, must be pretty good." So I said, "What style?" And found out a bit more about it. And then when I started work, my first job was just around the corner from the main dojo, from the Honbu in Melbourne. And I just walked in after work one day and saw Bob Jones standing there running a class, and this man in a gi with bright red hair and a big
Mm,
moustache and this aura about him, and it just blew my mind. And I went, "Oh wow, this is something I really want to do." I played a lot of football over here, like Australian rules football, not soccer,
mhm,
and I went into there and joined up on the spot, and yeah, started going 2, 3 nights a week after work, and it was pretty brutal back in those days. There was no pads or anything; it was just you hit each other, and
mm.
but you learned a lot. So yeah, and that was 1970, October 1977. So it's what is it? I don't know, 47 years or something this year. I've been involved. I haven't been able to train a lot of that or some of that, but yeah, still involved and still love the organisation.
Because the Zendo Kai in Australia, my understanding of Zendo Kai was that it's an offshoot of a Kudo Daidojuku, but that's way before the Australian Zendo Kai is way before the Japanese one, from what I hear. I'm not.
Yeah, Bob Jones, who's the founder of it, he started in 1971, 72, I think. So he was a Goju-Kai black belt. Um, and then when it started out on his own, he was under Tino Sobrano,
Mhm,
um, who's over here, and he's pretty much a legend. And Bob started his own style, and um, yeah, like he's an amazing man. I haven't seen him for 2 or 3 years now, but he's still at his age just still doing stuff, and not so much martial arts. He's gone into the theory side of it and about Celtic history, which is his history, and
mhm,
written books, and still does amazing stuff. So to me, he's been like a father to me over a lot of years, and helped me when I was really sick with post traumatic stress.
mhm.
So yeah.
So how was the start? It's unusual, and I'm guessing in that time it was unusual for a non-Japanese person to start a karate style of their own. It must have been really
Yeah.
a lot of obstacles and hate from the Japanese, I would imagine.
Yeah, I don't think Bob worried too much about the Japanese, to be honest. He's just an entrepreneur, and he started his style and went out. He had a lot of security guards that were working nightclubs and that sort of thing around in Melbourne, and all over Australia eventually in New Zealand. But started out with them, so they became his first students, um, and he ran the security organization for a lot of years. And Also did a lot of bodyguard work for international rock stars. So
Cool.
so I don't know, Joe Cocker, Linda Ronstadt, David Bowie. There's heaps more that I can't think of, but he was with them, as was his two main instructors, Billy Monet and Richard Norton. Richard Norton, you may have heard of, who's
Yeah, yeah, I love
martial
Richard.
arts.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
yeah. So he's an amazing man, and just he's probably one of the best martial artists in the world, I believe,
mhm,
with what he does and his weapons and stuff. And he gives back to the organization now. I think they're currently in Japan. There's about 15 of them in Japan going and training at the old dojos, which is pretty amazing. And apparently, from what I've been seeing on Facebook, these Japanese masters, ninth and 10th degrees, they were doing training and they didn't realize who Richard was
mhm,
until he started doing stuff. And apparently they got really excited when they saw Richard Norton was in their dojo. And our other, main man is Billy Monet, who's
mhm,
just an amazing martial artist. And yeah, so they're the two main men at the moment who are running the organization with my dear friend Matt Ball, who sort of oversees everything. And yeah, it's good. It's great that we go to Thailand every year for kickboxing, and my trips now are more sedate than
mhm,
when I first started going there in 2007. And I take more people around. There's about 70 go every year. So I sort of the tour guide, I take people to the places
mhm,
that we've been to many times. So it's great, but it's a really good environment, family friendly, kids, wives, boyfriends, girlfriends, whoever
mhm,
come along. So and they can either train or not train. So it's just a great thing.
mhm. So what's the kind of core structure of the Zendo Kai in Australia? Is it like more like traditional karate or more like a kickboxing? I've seen few
Uh,
videos and I think it
yeah,
went through the huge evolution over the years.
yeah. So it's a freestyle karate. So it's the best of everything in progression is the motto. So it takes it from Krav Maga, from kickboxing, from karate, um, jiu-jitsu, and it takes the best of them and it puts it in. And the great thing about it is our instructors like um, Richard and Billy and Matt Ball, and there's a few other instructors who I can't remember, think off the top of my head, are always
Mhm,
advancing themselves. They're always looking at how can we make the style better and stronger, and that's what I truly love about it.
mhm. I've seen that on the current videos that you're doing groundwork and everything is kind of an all-around system, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. So it's traditional karate is very structured and
Mhm,
very rigid, and which is great. But and the thing I love about Zendo Kai is that it's everything. Like there's not just one thing. It's not just kicking and punching. It's groundwork. It's tie. It's elbows, knees. Um, so that's the thing that I truly love about it.
mhm. I've seen that lots of modern dojos, so we're doing kind of all-around karate as well, but I like that kind of a ceremony, a little bit of a structure, but no overdoing it. Is
Yeah,
Zendokai went completely modern and dropped the Seiza, rays and stuff like that, or and
yeah,
replace it with like I see that some of my friends doing the European style, we shake hands because that's enough, that's our culture. I kind of still romanticize the Japanese way, so we do that a lot
yeah,
and we mix it with it. How is it in the Jazendokai?
yeah. I think it really depends on what instructor's running what. Bob got rid of Japanese commands and that. Oh, I'm going to say 25 years ago.
Hmm.
Um, so now it's all in English.
Hmm.
Um, Seiza is something that's really only done at a Senjo at a main training day,
Hmm.
grading day. Some dojos will still do it, but it's more standing and just a bow, and then and as you shake hands. A lot of us can't sit in Seiza anymore. I certainly can't. I've had a knee replacement, so it's pretty hard when I do. If I ever have to, I just
Hmm.
go. I can't do it. So the style's adapted. There's a lot of pad work now, because we have doctors and lawyers and nurses and that who don't want to get punched in the head and have to go to work with a
Yeah.
black eye. So it's really it's evolved into a style now that anyone can do. Like even old blokes like me, if I was starting now, I could still do it. It will adapt to the
Mhm.
way to how you can train.
Oh, that's nice to hear that, you've got that versatility. Because I've got the same. I've got some people who are, deaf, other one are nearly blind, so they cannot really
Yeah,
be punched in the face. So you have to
no,
adapt and, changing that methodology of training.
yeah, and I don't know about you, but I don't like getting punched in the head or kicked in the head.
Yeah,
It hurts. It hurts.
it does. Yeah. So how did you met Troy?
About 3 years ago, we got a mutual friend. It was his 40th birthday, I think, and it was we both live in Lara, or he lives in North Geelong. We live like 10 minutes away from each other,
Hmm.
and we're at this same party, and he was sitting down with a couple of his mates and Meow, who's now his wife, and I just sat opposite him, and for no particular reason, I just sat there and we just started talking, and it was just it was like a bond just created. Like it was unbelievable, and we sort of worked out that yeah, he was an ex-bikie, I was a retired copper, but we were both the brotherhood thing was alive and well in both organisations.
Hmm.
So we had that, and then we started talking about mental health, and it just evolved from there. And now, we're looking at doing a lot of stuff together in mental health over the next year or two,
Hmm.
which will be pretty amazing. I'm really looking forward to working with him, and he's just a great guy. He's just really down to earth. No bullshit with him. No egos. His wife's lovely. She's Thai, so I can practice my Thai on her, which is my Thai's pretty rubbish, but she accommodates me. She goes, no, no, not like that. So it's just a really great friendship. We did a few podcasts together as the odd couple, but it was just trying to get people and then trying to get some traction with it and marketing and that. And we're both really bad at marketing, so we realize that's our weakness.
Hmm.
But we're still, we've got projects now. Even today we were messaging out. He's pretty crook at the moment, so he can't talk. So he's just typing messages and that. And we're going to catch up Saturday to look at a few or a couple of new projects that we're really both passionate about. So yeah, that was it.
Yeah. It was interesting to meet him. I met him by accident. He was looking somebody to train with here in UK, and I can't remember who put me in contact with him, but I managed to get him to train with people in UK,
Yeah. Oh,
and
awesome.
it come out that we've got a very similar stuff. My wife is half Thai as well, and my Thai
Oh,
is
okay.
my Thai is
Yeah.
rubbish as well. I can't hear
Yes.
the differences in the tones, so
No,
it's
I can't pick it either. It's such a hard language. But yeah, oh, that's great. Yeah, no, look, he did his world tour. I don't know, he was away 6 months or something, traveling all around the
yeah.
world and doing stuff. And yeah, I was following him on his posts and that, and it was really, oh, wow, you're in Istanbul doing some traditional Thai or not Thai, some traditional martial art, and
Mm.
so it was great to see what he's done.
Yeah, it is interesting to see different approaches. I was talking with him about how different people take him in and treated him in different countries depending on the culture. So it's always interesting to see the
Yeah,
different approaches. Um,
yeah, no, absolutely.
well, so what's your part in the complete health Geelong? Uh,
I'm just a supporter of it, really. So I really love their work and what they do. I've been to a few barbecues with them. I help out when I can, but I've my well, my organisation to me
mm,
um, is looking doing mental health talks, and then I've done a few over the last few years, and that uh, I really enjoy doing. They go along, they get accepted very well by people because I say to people, I'm not a counsellor or a doctor or a nurse, I'm just me. And I went through some really shitty times, and I can help you, cut that timeline short. So instead of taking 15 years, it might take, whatever the time is, but it's not,
mhm,
it ain't going to be 15 years. So I've done a lot of coaching with people from all different things, from like marriage issues to mental health stuff. So, and I really enjoy it. It's something that I've found I'm pretty good at, I think, with helping people. I
Hmm.
listen a lot more than I used to when I was in the police force. I listen to people now and hear what they're saying, and um, yeah, that's what I do. And I run a training and safety company as well, so I do a lot of first aid courses and health and safety courses here, and I run safety advisor on projects, rail and civil projects over here
Hmm.
occasionally. But I don't work full time. I'm very fortunate, and my wife's very accommodating about that. Um, and yeah, so that's what I do. So I'm really to work with Troy, and we've got a couple of projects. We just go, we really need to make this happen to help
Hmm.
people.
So how
That's
did
what we're going.
how
That's what we're planning on doing.
how did the talking to people and kind of counseling come about? Is that was a part of your therapy, or you just discovered that it gives you great help? The reason I'm asking because for
Yeah.
me, writing a book about my anxiety and doing the talks for libraries and on different
Mm,
martial arts events, it's very, I don't know how to put it, but it's very cleansing, therapeutic for myself. That
absolutely.
knowledge
Yeah.
that you help people. How did that come about? Can you kind of
Yeah.
explain?
I had a very dear friend a long time ago, probably 15 years ago now, and she was going to a personal development weekend. She knew how I was pretty crook, like mentally. And she said, I'm going to a personal development weekend. You will be coming too. And I went, oh, whatever. I'd
Mm,
followed to the ends of the earth back then. So we went to this weekend, and it was really, it was great. And they talked about being a life coach. And I thought, that's what I want to do. That I want to help people. The thing I
mm,
didn't realize at the time was that I needed to get help first. I need to be big enough to go, I actually need help to get through the
mm,
shit that I'm going through before I can help anyone. So that was the start of it. And I did boot camps and weekends away and lots of reading and lots of, online modules and stuff like that. And then I started reading more books. The Dalai Lama, I've read a couple of books of his that have been translated for him, um, and just started changing my whole attitude about life. I was so bitter and twisted after I got out of the police force. I was pensioned off. So they said,
mm,
you'll never be in the police force. You can't be in it anymore. So I went, oh, well, that's not very good. I really love this job. And then I started, years later, probably it was probably I don't know, 95 to it's probably 10 years when I was in and out of psychiatric hospitals and tried not being here anymore, tried suicide, and was pretty crook. And my wife at the time just put up with so much. And I wrote a book too. It's a very short book. It's called Me and PTSD, and it just tells my story of what happened to me and how I got to the stage where I am. But it takes, as you know, it you can't keep running from it. Someday you have to
mm,
turn and bloody face it. And that's what I had to learn myself. Instead of running away and hiding, which I did a lot of, I
mm.
had to turn and face my own demons. And I still have bad days, but nowhere like, I haven't been in a psychiatric hospital for, I don't know, 14 years now, and I'm medication free. So it's good. I have a pretty good life.
Excellent. Glad to hear. Where's the book available? Is it on
Um,
Amazon or?
oh, Yeah. Oh no, mate. No, I didn't get carried away with Amazon. So I started selling it at $10, and then I went, you know what? I just want people to have the book and read it. So if they go to, here, I've got my winch. I put my windshield on, especially br45.au.
Hmm.
It's there. You can download it. It's free. There's an audio book that I voiced. I just read my book out and recorded it. And there's a digital book as well. And it's just, as I say, it's not Shakespeare, but it's just me talking about what happened to me and how I got through it, and the support of some wonderful people to help me get there.
Mm. I'm gonna put the link down below so everybody
Oh, thanks, mate.
who
Yeah,
is
that'd be great.
interested
Yeah,
have a read about it. And how did you
yeah,
get involved
no.
in how did you involve in radio then?
Oh,
We
well,
talked just before we started that
yeah,
you helping
yeah,
out in a radio station.
yeah. So my friend who took me to this personal development weekend, um, there's a community radio station in Melbourne called 3RRR, and they're sort of the biggest community radio station, I think, in Australia. Um, and she used to listen to it all the time, and it's not really my type of music.
Hmm.
But she said, we've there's an open day. Do you want to come along? Well, yeah, sure, let's go along. So we went along, and we were just walking around the studio talking to people, and it was amazing. It was such a great thing. And one of the presenters was sitting in a studio, and we just walked past, and um, she said, "Do you want to come in and talk?" And I went, "Oh, yeah, I'll talk. I'm not real, you know, that's okay." So we sat down, and she said, "I'm going to record this, and it's going to go out to the radio station here, but not live out on air." And I went, "Oh, well, I don't care." So she just started asking questions, and I was answering, and then we're having a bit of a laugh, and it was like 10, 15 minutes. And then she said, "Okay, that's fantastic, Brett. Thanks so much." And I got up and went, "Yeah, no, thanks, Namilla. That was great." And Namilla Benson was a lovely lady. She's still doing great stuff here in Australia. And as we were walking out, she said, "Have you ever thought of doing radio?" And I went, "Not really." I said, "No." And she goes, "We have a radio course here." And I went, "Okay." And Alison, who was well at the time, she said, "You should do the course." And I went, "Okay." So I did. I signed up for the course and did I don't know, it was 10 weeks, one night a week or something. And then you had to put a program together. And then, yeah, got through the course and passed. And that was fantastic. And then that's how I got to go to Geelong. I walked into the radio station down here at 94.7 The Pulse and said to Gary, the station manager, "Hi, I just want to volunteer. What can I do?" And he said, "Have you done anything?" I said, "Well, I've done the Triple R course." And he goes, "Fantastic." He said, "There's a guy leaving a show in 4 weeks. It's a food and wine show." And I went, "Perfect. Food and wine, love both." So went and sat in. I think 2 days later, the show was on. Went and sat in there and did 4 shows and panelled a bit and did some, you know, some outside. Well, I think we did one outside broadcast at the time. And um, that was it. I took the show over, and that was it. And then just started doing my own show, and yeah, it morphed into, you know, well, I'm still involved there, but I don't do much anymore. Um, yeah, it's a great station though, and you know, they've set up a podcast studio for people who are members of the radio station. It's like $50 a year or something. You can go in there and book the studio out, and it's studio quality sound. So they're doing great stuff, and I really love being involved with them. So that was it. That's how I got into radio, and then I started doing some podcasts at there, and then I bought my podcast panel behind me and a couple of microphones, and I've done, I don't know, 20 or 30 podcasts since then. And now I've got a podcast show that every week I upload stuff to it. It's got meditations, and I'm doing a series at the moment on mindfulness. I lost my mind there, but on mindfulness. So it'll probably be like a 10-part series on mindfulness. Then I've got one I'm writing at the moment on emotional intelligence. So that's lifescookbook.au for those people who are interested in having a look at it. It's free. There's a subscription thing there. I think it's $3.50 US a month, but there's a lot of free stuff there. So yeah, and I create the meditations, I write them, record them, and then put them into the system, or I edit them, put some music underneath them that's very calming, and then put them up as a podcast. So, and that's just
Cool.
great fun. I really enjoy doing that.
Um, could you tell me what was the key points that you took from that course? I'm obviously asking because I have no qualification to record this. I'm just uh, making it as
You're
it
doing well
goes.
though. You're doing well, mate. Hey, that's the best way
Thank
to
you.
do. You know,
It doesn't feel like it,
um,
but thank you.
uh, the more you do, the better you get.
Mm,
And I listen back to, if I'm doing a podcast with someone, if I'm the interviewer, I listen back to it and go, okay, did I ask too many stupid, not dumb questions or stupid questions, but were they relevant to what the
mm,
interview was about? And did I go or too many times? So I
yeah.
sort of keep account of those things and try and not to do it. Um, and for me, it's just listening to the person. Some of the people I've interviewed have just been fantastic. I've had a couple of people where they're just, and you sort of ask them a question and they go yes, and you go, okay, do you want to expand on that? No. It's like, oh, this is going to be a hard interview. So it's a very short one. Usually those like 5 minutes. Okay, thanks very much for your time. But I've interviewed some fantastic people, some great musicians. Steve Miller from the Steve Miller Band.
Hmm.
Um, I interviewed him 7 or 8 years ago. He was just you ask him a question, he just talked for 5 minutes about
Hmm.
it, and he was so good. Um, some other yeah, I can't think who else. Oh, Boz Scaggs, if you're old enough to remember Boz Scaggs back in from the
No.
70s, and that interviewed him. He's great. He was good to interview, but just a lot of people. Some of them, my friends. One of my friends, Tanya, she was running a personal training gym at her home, and we talked about um, women's health and weight training for women and a few things on that. So that was good. And another dear friend of mine, Susan McLean, who she's the cyber cop for Australia. Pretty much, she travels the world doing conferences on texting, sexting for when with kids, and talks at hundreds of schools a year. And she's just amazing to listen to. Um, I've interviewed her a couple of times, and she's going to help. She's actually, I think they're in the UK too at the moment. It must be half of Australia there. So when she comes back, she's going to help format me because I've got a caravan,
Hmm.
and I'm going to head off next year for 3 or 4 months, and I want to go around doing mental health talks around the country, and also some training so I can make a few bucks as I go along. But I've got one sponsor already, a mate of mine's company. Um, he's going to sponsor me a bit, so a fair bit actually. So yeah, it's just things like that. So when you get more sponsors, then I can do it a bit longer.
Do you have a like a what do you call it, a GoFundMe or something like that when people can support you?
No, no,
You should
I
you should make
thought,
one.
yeah,
Buy me a
I
coffee is a
thought
good
about
one.
it. Yeah, I don't know. I just thought it's my thing. I don't expect people to put in their hard-earned dollars into something that I'm doing.
But
I don't know. I
yeah,
just
I know where you're coming from because I was the same, and there's lots
yeah
of people who would love to support you. I done my
yeah
buy me a coffee, so people can you buy
yeah
a coffee? It's like
yeah.
$5, and I've got lots of people supporting without
Okay.
I never met them. They just read about it, my
Yeah
mental health talks, and
yeah. Well,
oh,
that's fantastic.
so
Yeah. Look,
I
I
recommend
thought
doing
I
that.
don't know. I just yeah. Look, I'll have a look at it. I'm not probably the sort of person that will accept money from people just because I say, listen, it's me. I'm going around, traveling around the country. I'm doing mental health talks. I want to do free ones for
Hmm.
community groups and sporting clubs. And then if a business or a school says, hey, can you come and do a talk for us? I go, yeah, they're going to cost you. So, but I'll have a look at it, Les. I'll look at the GoFundMe model again, and it might fund my lifestyle for 4 or 5 months.
This, I know where you're coming from because I had exactly the same thing. But I had a chat with a couple of friends, and they said, "Listen, you're helping people, and you're doing it for free. You
Yeah,
know, some people
yeah,
would
I know.
love to
Yeah,
support you, and it's
yeah.
not
Look,
that, you're taking money for yourself. You kind of giving it back to the people who you're gonna reach out with that mental health talks.
yeah. And in regional Victoria or regional Australia, there's not a lot of support, like mental health support for people. There's not because a lot of the people who talk on mental health over here and maybe in this UK, they're celebrities or influencers,
Mm.
and I just go, yeah, you've got mental health issues, but I get a bit uh, I don't know, I can't think of the word, but I'm wary of people who do that sort of thing. You've got a million Instagram followers, and all of a sudden you've got mental health issues, and they might
Mm.
have. I'm not saying they don't have, but then it's like, you need to follow me, and this is the diet I've been on for the last 6 months, and I've lost 50 kilos, and I just sort of go, that's crap.
Mm.
I just get really, um, yeah. So
Yeah,
as I said, I'm just me, and that's it.
yeah, I've got this illusion as well. I used to do lots of seminars and fundraising for charities, but then I had the agreement with one which was working for, and I said, I do this, we raise the money. I would like them to go to our project because those people
Yep.
need it, right? Geese,
Yeah.
whatever they need. Oh yeah, okay. And then we had £2 from it because everything went, oh, we had to spread that across the board. So you
Yeah.
mean that your CEO, who's got £250,000 a year, needed a little bit extra from our 200
Yep.
pounds project. So I
Yeah.
stopped supporting charities, and I'm using the money. We're actually going to be registering our own CIC, so it's a community interest company.
Yeah.
That all the income goes back to the community. So
Yeah.
instead of funding the big charities, we're gonna be actually doing the work on the ground. So
Yeah. I get very skeptical about charities, and some charities do some great work, but you sort of go, well, out of every dollar, how much goes on administration?
exactly.
And it can be like 80 or 90 cents in the
Mm,
dollar. And you go, I thought this was a charity, and we have a lot of people, who sort of, you go to walk in the shopping center or something and they're there, oh, do you want to support this organization? I go, no, I don't.
mm,
And it was a, child one, child in poverty one or something a couple of years ago. And they said, do you want to support the child in poverty? I said, no, I don't. And they said, why don't you want to do it? I go, are you getting paid to do this? How much money? And they got really angry about it. It's like, it's not the
mm.
point. And I went, yes, it is. I said, I give money. I'm happy to give money to charities, or people who are doing, I just funded $40 for a mate of mine who's doing 150-kilometer walk over the next, I think it's October or something. So he's one of our martial arts instructors, Kyle Reba, and so he's just put a thing up. If you want to sponsor me, it's for Black Dog Institute, which is a big
Mm.
organisation in Australia. Um, and it's like, okay, yeah, I'll sponsor, mate. $40, like to me, it's nothing. And if it helps you get out there and people see it, and he's doing great stuff as well. So yeah,
You
I
see,
think
you see. So now you have to put yourself on the other way around, right? You don't have a
yeah.
problem funding people. There's lots of people
No,
who
I
will
don't.
not
No,
not
I
have a
don't.
who will have no problem to
Yeah,
fund you. Uh,
yeah, mate. I tell you what, I'm going to look at it. The GoFundMe. I've written it down here in my notes, so I'll have a look at it
I I
tomorrow
I
and
I
see.
I think the buy me a coffee is easier because GoFundMe you have to have I think support charity or something like that. But buy me
Oh,
a
okay,
coffee
yeah,
buy me a coffee is easier.
okay,
Um,
okay,
yeah, when I'm asking in the shopping centers and stuff if I want to donate, I say I donate my time because I do stuff
yeah,
with charities and I do it for free or
yeah,
very discounted price. So I say
yeah,
I rather do that instead of give you money that it goes to it. I just give my time.
yeah. And that's what I like working with Troy. Like his organisation, they do so much great stuff with
Mm,
people with mental disabilities and some physical disabilities, and yeah, it's a really great organisation.
mm. Uh, so could you kind of summarize where we can find your book, your services, your buy me a coffee in the future?
Love to, yeah. But buy me a coffee, yeah. So you go here. I'm just trying to move that out of the way. So Brett Ritchie or br45.au is the website.
Hmm.
There's a link to it. Or brettritchie.au is the website as well. Both will get you there. My audio book and the digital book are there. They're free. Just go in, download them. There's other stuff there. I've got um, dealing with anger, I think, which is like $5, which in the
I need
UK
I
is
need
like,
that.
I think, which is like $2.50 or something in the UK. Our dollar's pretty crap at the moment, but
Mm,
there's a lot of stuff there. A lot of it's free. If you go to my website where I do my meditations, it's lifescookbook.au. Go there. You can have a look there. There's stuff there you can listen to. Calming meditations. I voice a lot of them. Some are just sounds. If people just want to listen to a sound or something to
mm,
go to sleep or just chill out and meditate. And for me, meditation is really important. I should do it more,
mm.
but I probably, 3 or 4 times a week, I'll do a 15, 20-minute meditation just to, I don't know,
Cool.
just because I
Can,
enjoy it.
can I ask you what's the 45 stand for?
Uh,
BR45.
it was my football number when I played football. So I tried BR13, which is my lucky
Mm,
number, and BR1, and I couldn't get it. And I went 45. It used to be my football number I wore on the back of my jersey. So I went, that'll do. So that's
uh,
the It's a pretty boring story, but that's why it's 45. And all my social media stuff, TikTok and that is it'll be Brett Ritchie 45, TikTok and Instagram and whatever else
Cool.
is there.
Well, it does the job. It sparks the interest. I asked,
Yeah.
you
No,
know,
yeah, absolutely. No, thanks for that.
so
Thanks for
it's a
asking.
really good thing. All right. Thank you
Yeah,
for your time. It was a pleasure
mate,
talking to
absolute
you.
pleasure. You too.
Goodbye.
That'd be good. Thanks, Les. All the best, mate.